Imagine being trapped, not by bars, but by invisible chains. These chains are guilt and shame, wielded like weapons in toxic relationships, silently controlling and diminishing you. You're not alone in this struggle. Toxic dynamics thrive on emotional leverage. Guilt makes you feel responsible for others' feelings or actions, while shame makes you feel fundamentally flawed. Both are tools of control, designed to keep you compliant. This isn't about healthy accountability. This is about weaponizing emotions to maintain dominance. The goal isn't growth, it's subjugation. Understanding this is the first step to breaking free. Guilt is often disguised as concern or disappointment. I'm just worried about you, they say, but their worry conveniently aligns with what they want you to do, making you feel bad if you don't comply. The manipulator instills a sense of obligation. You feel responsible for their happiness, their problems, even their reactions. This guilt can paralyze you, making it easier to avoid conflict by giving in. They might subtly remind you of past mistakes, making you feel you haven't earned forgiveness or trust. This constant reminder erodes your self-worth, making you more susceptible to their demands. Sometimes, guilt is used to make you question your own needs. You're being selfish, they imply, making your desires seem unreasonable and your compliance the only good option. This is a classic guilt tactic. The insidious nature of guilt is that it can feel like your own internal voice. You start policing yourself, preemptively avoiding actions that might incur disapproval, creating a self-imposed prison. Shame attacks your core identity, making you feel inherently bad or unworthy. It's not about something you did, but about who you are. This is far more damaging than guilt. Toxic individuals often use shame to isolate you. By highlighting your perceived flaws and mistakes, they encourage you to believe no one else would accept you, keeping you dependent on them. They might use backhanded compliments or subtle digs that chip away at your confidence. "You're so brave to wear that," can imply you look terrible. It's a constant barrage of negativity. Shame thrives in secrecy. Manipulators often create an environment where you feel ashamed to talk about what's happening, ensuring their tactics remain hidden and unchallenged. This silence is their power. When shame takes root, you might avoid social situations, fear judgment, and withdraw from life. It convinces you that you're fundamentally flawed and undeserving of connection or happiness. Guilt and shame aren't accidental byproducts, they are deliberately cultivated. The toxic individual identifies your vulnerabilities and uses them as leverage, creating a cycle of emotional distress. The process often starts subtly. A small comment, a sigh, a look of disappointment. These are the initial probes, testing your reaction and establishing your sensitivity to guilt and shame. Over time, these tactics escalate. What started as minor guilt trips or subtle digs becomes overt emotional manipulation, designed to keep you constantly off balance and seeking their approval. The goal is to internalize their criticisms. You begin to believe their narrative about you, seeing yourself through their distorted lens. This internalization makes their control almost absolute. This is where the toxic dynamic truly solidifies. You're caught in a loop, trying to avoid the pain of guilt and shame, which only leads you deeper into the manipulator's web. The constant barrage of guilt and shame erodes your self-esteem, leading to anxiety, depression, and a pervasive sense of worthlessness. Your emotional well-being is under constant attack. Your ability to trust your own judgment diminishes. You second-guess every decision, constantly seeking external validation, which the toxic person is happy to withhold or manipulate. Healthy boundaries become impossible. You feel obligated to say yes even when you want to say no, fearing the backlash of guilt or the sting of shame. Your personal space is constantly invaded. Relationships outside the toxic dynamic suffer. You might withdraw from friends and family, feeling ashamed or unable to explain what you're going through, further isolating yourself. Ultimately, your sense of self is eroded. You might feel like a shell of your former self, defined by the negative feedback loop of guilt and shame, rather than your true identity. Recognizing that guilt and shame are being used as weapons is the crucial first step. It's not about your inherent flaws, it's about a deliberate strategy of control. You are not the problem. This realization shifts the power. By understanding the tactics, you begin to disarm them. You can start to differentiate between genuine remorse and manipulative guilt tripping. It's about reclaiming your emotional autonomy. You are not obligated to carry the weight of others' feelings or to believe their negative projections about you. Your feelings are valid. This is the beginning of your journey to healing and reclaiming your sense of self. Understanding these weapons is the first step to building a life free from their destructive influence. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve deeper into specific manipulative phrases and how to counter them. You have the strength to break these chains. You are not alone. In part 1, we touched on the damaging effects of guilt and shame. Now let's dissect how these emotions are weaponized, starting with the insidious tactic of guilt tripping. This isn't about healthy remorse. It's about manufactured obligation. Toxic individuals exploit your empathy and sense of responsibility. They'll make you feel responsible for their problems, their happiness, or even their past mistakes, creating a constant pressure to appease them. Common phrases like "after all I've done for you," or "I guess you don't care about me anymore" are classic guilt-tripping ammunition. They aim to make you question your love and loyalty. This creates a cycle where you constantly seek their approval, fearing their disappointment or anger. Your own needs and desires become secondary to maintaining their fragile emotional state. The goal isn't resolution, it's control. By making you feel indebted, they can dictate your actions and ensure your compliance, all under the guise of caring or a troubled past. Recognizing these patterns is crucial. You are not obligated to carry the emotional burden of another person, especially when it's intentionally placed upon you to manipulate your behavior. Swoosh shame is a more potent and damaging weapon. While guilt is about an action, shame is about your core identity. Toxic individuals weaponize shame to make you feel fundamentally flawed or unworthy. This can manifest as constant criticism, belittling comments about your intelligence, appearance, or capabilities. The aim is to erode your self-esteem, making you dependent on their validation. "You're too sensitive, you always overreact," or "why can't you be more like someone else?" are classic shame-inducing statements. They invalidate your feelings and experiences. When you internalize shame, you start believing you're inherently bad or broken. This makes it incredibly difficult to assert yourself or leave the toxic dynamic, as you feel you deserve this treatment. Toxic individuals might also leverage your past mistakes or insecurities. They'll bring up old wounds, twisting them to reinforce the narrative that you are flawed and incapable of change. This constant barrage of shame chips away at your sense of self-worth. It creates a deep-seated fear of judgment, making vulnerability feel like an unbearable risk. Understanding that this shame is manufactured, not inherent, is the first step to disarming it. Their goal is to diminish you, not to help you grow. Swoosh beyond direct accusations, toxic dynamics often employ passive-aggressive tactics. The silent treatment and withholding affection are powerful tools that inflict emotional pain without a word. When a toxic individual withdraws, it's not a sign of needing space, it's a punishment. They use silence to make you feel invisible, anxious, and desperate to regain their attention. This can feel like a rejection of your very being. The lack of communication forces you to internalize their displeasure, often leading to self-blame and frantic attempts to fix the situation. Withholding affection, be it kind words, physical touch, or emotional support, is equally damaging. It creates an environment of conditional love, where your worth is tied to their fluctuating approval. This tactic makes you question your lovability and your place in the relationship. You start to walk on eggshells, constantly monitoring their mood to avoid triggering their withdrawal. The silence becomes deafening, and the absence of warmth leaves you feeling cold and isolated. This emotional starvation is a deliberate strategy to maintain power and control. Recognizing this as a tactic, not a reflection of your worth, is vital for breaking free. Your value is not determined by their emotional availability or their willingness to punish with silence. Swoosh gaslighting is perhaps the most insidious form of manipulation, designed to make you doubt your own sanity and perception of reality. It's a direct assault on your mind. Toxic individuals will deny events that clearly happened, twist your words, or accuse you of things you never did. They create an alternate reality where they are always right and you are always wrong. Phrases like "that never happened," "you're imagining things," "you're too sensitive," or "you're crazy" are hallmarks of gaslighting. They aim to invalidate your experiences completely. The cumulative effect is profound. You begin to question your memory, your judgment, and your sanity. This confusion makes it easier for the manipulator to control you. They thrive on your uncertainty. Your doubt is their power. They want you to rely on their version of events because it solidifies their position of dominance. When you are constantly gaslit, your reality becomes fragile. You may find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do or second-guessing every interaction, living in a state of perpetual anxiety. Reclaiming your reality requires trusting your intuition and seeking external validation from trusted sources. Your perception is valid, even if someone tries to convince you otherwise. Swoosh, guilt, shame, and gaslighting are often part of a larger cycle. Toxic dynamics rarely remain static. They often involve periods of intense conflict followed by moments of apparent peace and remorse. After an episode of manipulation or abuse, the toxic individual may offer apologies or promises to change. This is the honeymoon phase, designed to reel you back in and create a sense of false hope. They might express deep regret, blame their actions on external factors, or shower you with affection. This makes you believe things will get better, perpetuating the cycle. The problem is, the underlying behavior patterns rarely change. The remorse is often performative, a tool to reset the dynamic and ensure your continued engagement and compliance. This cycle traps victims, making it incredibly difficult to leave. Each good period reinforces the hope that the person has changed, or that the relationship is worth fighting for. The emotional toll is immense. You are constantly on edge, anticipating the next downturn, yet clinging to the brief moments of perceived normalcy and love. Breaking this cycle requires recognizing the pattern for what it is, a manipulative strategy. True change is demonstrated through consistent actions, not fleeting apologies. Swoosh, we've explored how guilt, shame, and gaslighting are used as weapons. Understanding these tactics is your first major victory. In Part 3, we'll equip you with practical strategies to counter these manipulations. You'll learn how to set firm boundaries, develop assertive communication skills, and cultivate self-compassion to rebuild your inner strength and resilience against future attacks. Remember, your feelings are valid. You are not responsible for another person's toxic behavior. You have the right to a life free from emotional manipulation and abuse. Stay tuned for Part 3, where we move from understanding to action. You are stronger than you think, and healing is absolutely possible. You deserve peace. Now that we understand the insidious ways guilt and shame are weaponized, it's time to reclaim your power. This isn't about revenge, it's about self-preservation and building a fortress around your emotional well-being. The first crucial step is recognizing these tactics for what they are: manipulation. When someone tries to make you feel guilty or ashamed, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction proportionate? Is it fair? Toxic individuals thrive on your reactions. By learning to detach emotionally, you starve them of the validation they seek. Imagine their accusations like arrows bouncing off an impenetrable shield. Practice assertive communication. Clearly state your boundaries without apology. I will not tolerate being spoken to that way, or I am not responsible for your choices. Your truth is your weapon. It's vital to build a strong support system. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who validate your experiences, and who remind you of your inherent worth. Isolation is their ally. Journaling can be incredibly powerful. Write down instances of manipulation. Describe the feelings evoked and how you responded. This creates a record and helps you identify patterns. Challenge the internalized shame. Often, we've absorbed the toxic messages and believe them. Remind yourself that their narrative is not your reality. You are not defined by their judgment. Seek professional help if needed. Therapists can provide tools and strategies to navigate complex toxic dynamics and heal from the emotional damage inflicted. You don't have to do this alone. Remember, Reclaiming your peace is an ongoing process. There will be moments of doubt, but your commitment to yourself is the most potent antidote to toxic manipulation. You are worthy of respect. This isn't about changing the manipulator, it's about changing your response and protecting your inner world. Your energy is precious, invested in your healing and growth, not in their drama. By implementing these strategies, you begin to dismantle the power guilt and shame hold over you. You are rewriting your narrative from victim to survivor, and ultimately, to thriver. The journey is challenging, but with each step, you build resilience. You learn to trust your own judgment and recognize toxic patterns before they take root. Your strength is undeniable. In the next part, we'll explore how to rebuild trust and foster healthy relationships after experiencing toxic dynamics. Stay with us as we continue this vital conversation about healing and empowerment. You've navigated the labyrinth of guilt and shame. Now, the path forward involves rebuilding trust, not just with others, but crucially, with yourself. This is where true healing begins. Recognizing when trust has been eroded is the first step. Observe the patterns, the justifications, the constant need for validation that guilt tripping creates. Rebuilding trust starts with small, consistent actions. Show up for yourself. Keep the promises you make, no matter how minor. This builds internal credibility. Setting healthy boundaries is your shield against further manipulation. It's about defining what is acceptable and what is not, firmly but kindly. Boundaries aren't walls to push people away. They are guidelines that protect your well-being and foster respect in relationships. Practice saying no without apology. Your needs are valid. Prioritizing your mental and emotional health isn't selfish, it's essential self-preservation. Communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. Use I statements to express your feelings and needs without blaming. Understand that sometimes, people who are used to manipulating will test your boundaries. Stand firm. Your consistency reinforces your message. Surround yourself with people who honor your boundaries and uplift you. Seek out relationships built on mutual respect and genuine connection. Consider professional support. Therapists can provide tools and strategies for healing and navigating complex relational dynamics. The journey away from guilt and shame is a marathon, not a sprint. Celebrate every small victory and acknowledge your progress. You are not defined by the toxic dynamics you've experienced. Your resilience and capacity for growth are your true strengths. Remember, guilt and shame are tools of control. By understanding them, you disarm them and reclaim your power. Trust your intuition. It's a powerful compass guiding you away from manipulation and towards authentic connection. You have the strength within you to heal and build a life free from the heavy burden of unwarranted guilt and shame. If this series has resonated with you, please share it. Your sharing can help others recognize and break free from toxic patterns. Subscribe for more content on emotional intelligence and healthy relationships. Together, we can foster a community of empowered individuals. Leave a comment below. What's one boundary you're committed to strengthening? Let's inspire each other. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, you are worthy of healthy, respectful relationships. Continue to learn, grow, and thrive. Your empowered future starts now.